Pioneer fans, Pioneer men's varsity lacrosse is live and on the air. We are live at Hollway Field, where it is your Pioneer men's varsity lacrosse taking on the Bedford Kicking Mules, and it is senior night, so we will have the senior celebration for you today. Pioneer has moved on to 9-2 on the season. Started off with a win versus Grosse Pointe South, 10-9. They had their first loss of the season versus Northville. That was a 10-8 loss to Northville. Then they went on a good win streak. It was a 5-game winning streak, beating Skyline 7-3, beating Huron 11-2, beating Saline 10-9, beating Bedford 10-4 as these two teams played. That was at Bedford. They beat Notre Dame Prep, and then it was 9-5. They had a loss versus Cranbrook Schools back on the 24th of April. That was 16-3. Then they're on a 3-game win streak from there. So they beat Skyline 6-3. They beat Saline 10-5, and they beat Ann Arbor Huron 11-3. That was over at the University of Michigan Lacrosse Stadium. So 9-2 is their record. So fantastic game, and I just got a score coming in for the baseball as the Monroe Trojans were able to beat the Pioneer team in the first of a doubleheader 5-1 over on the baseball field. So Pioneer 9-2 on the season, taking on Bedford. Bedford is 7-5. They started off with a loss versus Divine Child 15-4. They had a win versus Chelsea 10-5. Then they had 3 losses in a row. They lost to Skyline 11-6. They lost to Pioneer again back on the 17th of April 15-4. That was a home game for Bedford. And they lost to Saline 11-5. They have won 6 of their last 7, so they have gotten things going in the right direction. They beat St. Mary's Catholic Central 13-12. They beat Saline 10-9. They beat Huron 14-6. They beat Pinckney 13-1. They beat Skyline. Again, that one was at home. That was a 10-9. That was a loss. That was one of the other losses. That was the only loss in the last 7 was to Skyline. That was a 10-9 win by Skyline, so very close game. Then they beat Huron 14-7. So, again, 6 of the last 7 as they try and keep things going here versus Pioneer. Now, little change to Pioneer's schedule coming up. They were going to play Chelsea here on Wednesday, but that has been moved. The Chelsea game is now an away game. It's no longer at Hollway Field. And it's going to be on Thursday, the 11th, as opposed to Wednesday. That will be a 7 p.m. game at Chelsea. Then Pioneer will be on the 13th, they will be at St. Mary Catholic Central. Then they will be at Tecumseh. That will be on the 15th, time to be determined, and then we're already into the playoffs at that point in time. We do want to thank all the wonderful, amazing sponsors of Pioneer Men's Varsity Lacrosse. That includes Edwards and Schaefer Orthodontics, Franklin Templeton, Knights, Southside Market, Gago Fertility, Dr. April Gago, Jen Greer Photography, First Martin Corporation, Mike Martin, a Pioneer alum, Venue Restaurant and Bar, Pollock Investment Advisors, Rob Pollock, a Pioneer alum, Winsler's Gear, Grease Shaver Dentistry, and Electric Lawn Company. Let's take a look and let me pull up the SEC Red statistics here, as it is just updating and loading and taking a look. Pioneer has the 4-point lead up at the top of the SEC Red. Pioneer has 14 points. They'd love to get 2 more points here and keep the lead and keep a buffer versus everyone else. Pioneer 14 points. In second place is Saline with 10 points. Skyline has 8 points, 4 points for Bedford, and then none for Huron. And with just a couple more games here, as we have this game in conference, and then the game Wednesday, or now Thursday the 10th in conference. So with 2 more games left, Pioneer has a 2-point cushion. This should, if they were able to win here, win the SEC Red. Let's move over to our public address announcer.
Men's lacrosse team versus the Bedford Kicking Mules. Now to announce the starting lineup for Bedford. Number 1, Brandon Staley. Number 4, Logan Johnson. Number 30, Logan Lakowski. Number 38, Daniel Schroeder. Number 40, Tyler Hensley. Number 49, Brady Fields. Number 64, Teddy Giesler. Their head coach is Steve Hollway. And now for your Ann Arbor Pioneer men's varsity team. Starting at goalie, number 1, Whit Denzen. Starting at midfield, number 2, Bennett Ayers. Starting at attack, number 3, Max Friedman. Starting at midi, number 4, Levi Rosenberg. Starting at deep hole, number 5, Hayden Beer. Starting at attack, number 7, Sam Cow. Starting at defense, number 10, August Gago. Starting at defense, number 15, Philip Schaefer. Starting at defense, number 19, Brent Kikachi. Starting at defense, number 23, Adam Porter. And starting at attackman, number 24, Angus McQueen. Your Pioneers are led by their captains, number 10, August Gago, number 7, Sam Cow, number 4, Levi Rosenberg, and number 2, Bennett Ayers.
Pioneer 2 points on the top of the SEC Red with a win here. They should be able to, unless I'm reading things wrong, they should be able to wrap up the SEC Red. The white division has Tecumseh and Dexter all tied up at top. So Pioneer will be facing a tough Tecumseh team to finish off the regular season. So they both have 12, Tecumseh and Dexter. Chelsea has 6 points. Team Pioneer will be playing on Thursday. Pinckney has 2 points, and Lincoln with no points. So let's play a few messages from the MHSA, and we will be right back with your opening face-off and the national anthem. You're watching Pioneer Men's Varsity Lacrosse, brought to you by Arbor Broadcasting.
Where can you find good information on all kinds of topics related to the well-being of our student athletes? Check out the health and safety page of the MHSA website. Learn about multi-sport participation, heat and hydration, cardiovascular resources, as well as insurance benefits available for our students. It's all on the health and safety page of MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
The love of the game draws us to sports, as players, coaches, spectators, and officials. For officials, it's a way to stay in the game they once played, to feel the thrill of putting on the uniform, stepping out of the playing surface, hustling to make the call, and building the relationships which can only be built in sports. If you still have that love for the game, we always need new officials. Register now at MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Sportsmanship has never been more important between the lines in athletics, outside those lines in our communities. To listen, to respect, to understand, to practice common decency, to have competition without contentiousness. Sportsmanlike qualities are essential components of life itself. Let's all work together to not only be good sports, but good people. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Have we gotten to the point where at some high school game that an official has finally had enough from coaches, players, and adults, pulls off the whistle and offers it to you? Let's hope not. There's no way you could do a better job. It's on everyone to promote good sportsmanship. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Nearly 2,000 of the state's top student athletes will be recognized for excelling academically and in school activities through the MHSAA's Scholar Athlete Award, underwritten by Farm Bureau Insurance. The applicants will be in the running for a total of 32 $1,000 college scholarships. Application materials are available.
Where can you find good information on all kinds of topics related to the well-being of our student athletes? Check out the health and safety page of the MHSAA website. Learn about multi-sport participation, heat and hydration, cardiovascular resources, as well as insurance benefits available for our students. It's all on the health and safety page of MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Can you go anywhere and find an endeavor in society where we've come to accept and tolerate an adult, and even kids, treating another adult the way we allow spectators, coaches, and players to treat a high school game official? Can you? No one has the right to abuse game officials. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Here are 5 more good reasons for multi-sport participation. Multi-sport athletes are more coachable. They have higher athletic ceilings. They become better talent in the long run. They have higher sports IQs. Their sport skills transfer, and they are better teammates. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Here are 5 good reasons for high school multi-sport participation. Fewer overuse injuries, less opportunity for emotional burnout, exposure to different kids and coaches, exposure to different roles, and learning to compete better. Being a multi-sport participant can help a kid become a more well-rounded person. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
And we want to thank a few more sponsors for Pioneer Men's Varsity Lacrosse. That includes Stadium Hardware, Specialty Eye Institute, Dr. Louis Gago, Linda Forrester, real estate agent with E-Wings Pro, Ann Arbor Made, Reclaimed Woodworks, Monahan Seafood Market, Meadowlark Design and Build, PLG, and Blue Jays Lacrosse Program, Ron's Garage, Germain Auto, Edward and Schaefer Orthodontics, Franklin Templeton, Gago Fertility, Dr. April Gago, Knights Southside Market, Jen Gear Photography, First Martin Corporation, Mike Martin, a Pioneer alum, Venue Restaurant and Bar, State and Liberty Clothing Shop, Coach and 4 Barbers Shop, Reshaper Dentistry and Electric Lawn Company, Witzler's Gear, and Pollock Advisors, Rob Pollock, a Pioneer alum. Thank you to all the wonderful folks who sponsor the team. Please help support those who help support the team. It's a self-funded team those donations are extra important. As the clock counting down, the Pioneer squad gathered with their coaching staff across the way. Let's play a little push on, and we'll be right back. Both squads lined up across the way, getting ready and lined up for the national anthem.
If we could get both teams ready for the playing of the national anthem.
As everyone files over and gets their helmets off, little precipitation coming down, but not too much. Game time temperature 65 degrees. Now to honor America, the playing of the national anthem.
End of the stadium.
as we're getting ready for this big SEC Red matchup.
Good luck to both teams. Let's have a good game. And as a reminder, this is Pioneer Senior Night. We will have
as they will have a senior celebration
down the center of the field at halftime.
So that'll the senior celebration will happen at halftime. As Pioneer 4 points clear up at the top of the SEC Red standings. This would be a huge 2 points to get a win here and make it so Saline could only tie Pioneer up at the top. If they're able to get to 2 wins out of 3, that will absolutely and utterly secure the SEC Red. As far as tiebreakers go, taking a look at versus Saline, Pioneer beat Saline back on the 12th, 10-9, and then beat Saline 10-5. So they should have the tiebreaker. So don't quote me, but from what I see, if Pioneer is able to win this game, they should have the SEC Red wrapped up. Should be a fantastic thing to be able to accomplish on senior night. Of course, the Bedford Kicking Mules are going to have something to say about that, as they would like to keep their winning ways going. Again, they have won 6 of the last 7. They would love to make that 7 of the last 8 here and try and keep that nice winning streak going into the playoffs, which start coming up on the 18th. I haven't seen anything on the MHSAA website yet. They have the assignments for women's lacrosse, what regions folks are going to be playing in. Pioneer will be playing in women's lacrosse in the Saline Regional, and they will take on the winner of Huron versus, I'm losing it at the top of my mind, but they'll take on the winner of Huron versus their first opponent on the ladies squad. But bracket's not out for the men's side as of yet.
Wellman to take the face-off, Pioneer.
Wellman in to take the face-off. On the other side is Warwick. On the near side is Porter, joined there by Senyo. On the far side is Ayers. And back out that way is Geisler. Ball set for the face-off. That grab brought ahead by Warwick. Warwick goes over the restraining line. Warwick fires it over on the far side. Shot. As that comes out, racing to get it out the far wing. That popped up. Trying to hold it in, Ullery. As that will go out, and Pioneer will have the ball. As Gaga will have it in along the end line. Pressure by Lugosilski. Back on the defensive side. And brought ahead. Right over midfield. Shikachi moves it over to McQueen. McQueen just inside of the restraining now. Comes out into the midfield area. Over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg. Between the hash marks. Gets a running start about 10 yards outside of the offensive zone. Rosenberg. Comes down the numbers. Flips it to McQueen. McQueen spins. Trying to head towards the center of the pitch on the far wing. McQueen sends it back out into the midfield area. Over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg over to Dutton on the near wing. Dutton over the restraining line, racing down the near wing. Dutton floats it right back behind Friedman. Moves it over. McQueen back out to Rosenberg in the midfield area. And over on the near wing to Dutton. Dutton running down the numbers. Dutton launches it back behind, trying to get that, and that'll be pulled away. Bringing it ahead. Here comes Bedford racing downfield over their own restraining line. Stopping there is Staley. Staley fires it ahead down on the far side, trying to get it over to Barber. That goes out the far sideline. Pioneer with it as Wolf will bring it in. Over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg runs down the far hash marks. Rosenberg flips it over to Ayers. Ayers just inside the offensive zone with a shot and a save. Good save out there by Staley. Launch back to Staley. Staley comes outside of his crease, racing down between the hash marks. Staley lifts it ahead and bounces. It'll go out the far sideline. As Schaefer goes over to get it on that far sideline to start things up. Schaefer launches its sidearm, gets it. Shikachi on the ground. Shikachi rakes it up, tosses it over to Gago. Gago launches it ahead right at midfield. Ayers has it. Ayers coming ahead with it down the far wing. Ayers steps into the offensive zone. Ayers gets a screen from McQueen. Ayers takes it underneath the goal line extended. Ayers. Pressure there, gets it back to Friedman. Friedman moves it over to Cow on the near wing. Cow off the tip of his cross as he's able to check that away. Battle for it on the ground ball on the near wing as that is raked up. Good defense by Patrick Williamson, taking that away from Pioneer. Now Barber launches it towards midfield, just over the receiver's cross. Here comes Shikachi the other way. Ball really won't settle down today. Shikachi takes a check, gets into the offensive zone, gets it over to McQueen on the far wing. McQueen steps outside the restraining line between the hash marks, moves it to Ayers. Ayers thought about it, looks for, see if anyone's coming on now. Ayers. Rosenberg to his left, flips it over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg over the restraining line. Coming down the near hash marks, gets it over to Cow. Cow just over the goal line, extended back to Rosenberg. Rosenberg thought about a sidearm. There's a flag down. Delayed penalty on Bedford, which will come into play right now as the pass to McQueen just out of his reach.
Bedford penalty.
So the ball will go back to Pioneer. As I didn't see the sign, but taking a knee over there is going to be Johnson. So Pioneer, man up, as it is 8 minutes, 40 seconds left to go here in the first. Scoreless game so far. McQueen has it on the far sideline, about 10 yards above the goal line extended. Here's the whistle. McQueen jogs towards the center of the pitch, flips it over to Ayers. Ayers right there, strand line over to Rosenberg. Back to Ayers, top of the attack zone, over to McQueen. McQueen back to Ayers. Ayers overhead shot, and he puts it in. Ayers from McQueen, and Pioneer goes up.
Number 2, Bennett Ayers, assisted by number 24, Angus McQueen.
And at 8:29, goal for Pioneer in the first. Pioneer goes up 1-0. Wellman in to take the face-off. On the other side is Warwick again. Dutton comes on the near wing, joined there by Cowan. On the far wing is Geisler with Porter. Ball set between the blockades. That raked back. Warwick trying to get to it, as that is raked up, coming down by Geisler. Geisler sets back into the midfield area. Geisler working with Wellman providing pressure. Geisler now between the hash marks, gets into the restraining line, fires it ahead. That raked up as Gago had it, but that's going to be a push and go back over to Bedford. Wellman and Dutton come off for defensive substitutions. Looks like Wolf comes in as Wellman has to take a knee. Bedford man up. Pioneer up 1-0, 8:09 left to go. As bringing it ahead is Depew. Depew moves it back behind the goal line, extended to Lukosilski. Lukosilski going from the near side, stops right behind the goal, fires it out in front. There's a shot and a score by number 7. That would be McIntyre, who puts it in and ties it up at 1.
Bedford goal, number 7, Brennan McIntyre.
And the assist was to number 3, Lugosilski.
Assist number 3, Dylan Lugosilski.
It is tied 1-1. Wellman to take the face-off. He has been really, really good this year. Well, Warwick getting the best of him in the first 2 face-offs, and that trend continues. Warwick moves it over. Ball is Puccetti, has it. Puccetti comes into the offensive zone, running down the far sideline. Puccetti gets it back and moves it over to Depew. Depew back into the midfield area. Gets it over to McIntyre, who had the tying goal. McIntyre on the far wing, working against Rosenberg. McIntyre goes between the hash marks. McIntyre loses it. Ground ball, trying to rake it up is Rosenberg, trying to battle. McIntyre comes away with it. McIntyre just outside the offensive zone, flips that back over to Depew. Depew in the midfield area. Depew over to Sevilla. And over to McIntyre. Right at the restraining line. Now running between the hash marks. McIntyre coming down. McIntyre with the shot. Denson with the save. That rolled back, grabbing at Barber. Back behind. That's Pioneers' ball as Gago has it in along the end line. Gago launches it over. Schaefer grabs it on a hop. Schaefer back to Denson. Coming down the near hash marks over to Schaefer. Schaefer fires it over to Shikachi. Shikachi racing into the offensive zone. That just off of Cal's cross. Cal able to rake it up, and he goes down. As they'll say, he stepped out of bounds. That will be Bedford ball, bringing it ahead as Bedford trying to get it out of their own zone, bringing ahead is Ulrich. That ball right at midfield as Pachetti trying to rake it up. Now coming down with it is Sanyo. Sanyo loses an edge going over the restraining line. Coming the other direction with it is a heavy hit on Beer, and that's going to be a whistle. As Beer went down to the turf. Pachetti pleads his innocence. That will be a cross-check called.
Bedford penalty.
As Puccetti takes a knee by the scorer's table. As Dutton will have it just over the midfield on that far sideline. So far, both keepers, Staley and Denson, have been very good in the early going. 6:07 left to go here. 1-1 is our score here in the first as Ayers right to the restraining line over to Rosenberg on the near wing. Rosenberg gets it to Friedman. Friedman back to Cal. That just off of his cross out the end line. That is going to be Bedford ball as few hiccups for the Pioneer offense. Geisler running down the near side of the field over his own restraining line. Geisler moves it ahead. That raked up over midfield. As trying to bring it ahead is Patrick Williamson. Patrick Williamson back over to Geisler, or Depew. Depew over on the near wing, working against Shikachi. Depew steps back into the midfield area. Gets that over on the far wing to Geisler. Geisler has that knocked down. Dutton grabs it on a hop. Dutton launches it ahead, just over Rosenberg's head. That ball loose. Rosenberg trying to barrel through a pair of players. Moves it over. Shot and a save. Oh! Somehow McQueen point blank, and somehow Staley keeps it out of the net. Staley picks off that pass, really helping his cause there. Both with a save and a turnover. That shot all the way down, racing to get it, is going to be Schaefer. That will be last touch by Bedford. Schaefer will have it. It's again cloudy day, little rain out there. We've already seen a few little slips, some uncharacteristic drops. And fired ahead, just over Wolf's cross, raked up by McQueen. McQueen comes in, McQueen with the shot. That just goes wide to the near side. Staley gets a piece of it. Friedman closest to it. 4:38 left to go here in the first. 1-1 is our score. Friedman has it and along the end line, moves it over to Cal on the near wing. Cal goes over the goal line extended. Gets it back to Dutton, top of the attack zone. Over to Ayers between the hash marks. Ayers over to McQueen. McQueen now trying to make his way in, walled off, gets it back to Ayers, top of the attack zone over on the far side. Now Dutton on the near hash marks, gets it over to Cal, working his way in, shot, and Cal puts it in. As Cal grabbed it from Dutton, fired it in.
Sam Cal. Assisted by number 12, Kevin Dutton.
So goal by Pioneer, that at 4:17, and Pioneer takes the 1-goal lead, 2-1.
Wellman to take the face off of Pioneer.
Wellman in to take the face-off versus Werrick. LaPointe on the near wing. Joined over there by Cowan. Over on the far wing is Beer, as well as Johnson. That grabbed and coming in. Bedford has it, trying to move it over to Depew. That off of his cross. That'll roll all the way over and out as it hits the. Why am I having issues with the name? Pylon over on the near side. I know what it's called. My brain just decided not to work for a second. 4:07 left to go here in the first. As Denson fires it over on the far side, and Schaefer grabs it on a hop. Schaefer over to Denson, and Denzer over midfield. Denson racing down the far sideline, gets into the offensive zone. Denson trying to work and get himself a little extra room. As Wolf trying to get it, that ball loose. Wolf trying to rake it up as ground ball. Now Cow has it. Cow on the near wing. Cow fakes the pass back into the midfield area. Gets it to McQueen. McQueen is 5 yards above the goal line. Extended shot. Bounce shot and in. McQueen with the bounce shot puts it in for Pioneer. As McQueen puts it in at 3:29. Wellman in again, as so far Warwick has really been perfect in the taking the face off. And Porter on the far side. He's joined over there by Sanyo. Warwick again gets the face off. Warwick coming down the far numbers. Warwick over the restraining line. Warwick races coming in, and that off the side of the goal. Warwick back behind the goal line extended, fires it over on the far wing. Now trying to come in, underhanded shot and putting it in. That looked like number 48, Andrew Williamson.
Bedford goal number 48, Andrew Williamson.
So Williamson draws Bedford back within a goal at 3:07. Answering back the Pioneer goal. 3-2. Pioneer with the lead. Wellman versus Warwick in for the face-off. And Dutton on the near wing with Cowan. And pulling it away, Warwick once more gets the face-off. As bringing it down on that far wing is Geisler. Geisler now races towards the goal. Geisler goes underneath the goal line extended. Moves that ball over to Lugosielski. Lugosielski over top of the attack zone. Working there is McIntyre. McIntyre trying to get between the hashes. That lost. Now Gago has it. Gago bringing it up the near wing. Gago gets over his own restraining line. Gago races over midfield. Gago launches it over. Dutton grabs it in stride. Bounce pass and in. Dutton fires it in. Gago with the assist. Dutton with the goal. 12.
Number 12, Kevin Dutton. Assist. Number 10, August Gago.
Nice assist to a defender. Always love to see that happen. His ball getting set. Over on the near wing is Sunyo with Ayers. Gago to take the face off, is trying to find a way to beat Warwick. Rosenberg on the far wing with Puccetti. Now Gago gets the face off and stops Warwick's unbeaten in the center circle. Over, McQueen trying to get it. That popped up by Gago. Loose. And again popped up over outside in the midfield area. Cow gets it on a bounce. Cow into the offensive zone. Cow fires it, or fakes it. Now back over to Ayers. Ayers moves it over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg on the far hash marks in midfield. Pressure coming. Rosenberg running down the far sideline through over the restraining line. Rosenberg goes underneath the goal line extended. Stops there, double team, makes a swim move. Rosenberg launches it. Ayers, sidearm shot and in. Rosenberg sets up Ayers perfectly, and Ayers fires it in.
Assist number 4, Levi Rosenberg.
And Pioneer at 2:06 is now up 5-2 as they have a 2-goal run. Trying to put a few more goals together and get a little breathing room.
Wellman to take the face off of Pioneer.
As this is a determined Bedford team who's made things difficult on Pioneer. Wellman back in there versus Ware is trying to get that ground ball. Wellman trying to grab that, still battling for the ground ball. Wellman comes away with it. Wellman launches it to Dutton. Dutton has it. Dutton over his own restraining line into the offensive zone. Dutton with a shot. That's saved by Staley. Friedman gets it back behind the goal. Friedman in along the end line. Over to Cow on the near wing. Over the goal line extended. Cow sends it. Wolf, that on a hop over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg in the midfield area. Over to McQueen on the far wing. Top of the offensive zone. McQueen steps back into the midfield area, taking a few checks. Now spins away. McQueen gets it over to Wolf. That off his body. He rakes that up. Wolf just outside of the restraining line. Gets it over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg races over the restraining line. Walled off there. Rosenberg steps back out into the midfield area. Comes over on the far wing, calling out signals. Rosenberg cuts behind the defense. Shot that off the post. And it goes all the way over, grabbed on a hop by Friedman. Friedman back behind McQueen, over to Cow. Cow fires it to Dutton, back in the midfield area. Dutton races ahead between the hash marks. Dutton with a low shot. That deflected off of a foot, comes all the way back out towards midfield. Trying to keep it on the Pioneer side of midfield. The defense, that raked over Shikachi, trying to bat it over. That raked up by Gago as Shikachi trying to mimic his older brother who was on the Pioneer men's hockey team. Now gets it over. Trying to rake it up is Dutton. Dutton has it on the near sideline. 21 seconds left to go here in the first. Pioneer up 5-2, and there is a whistle. And timeout called as we'll, or no, yeah, timeout. No, they're continuing playing. Bedford has it. Bedford between the hash marks. Over the restraining line in the offensive zone. Over to Johnson. That rolls back out. Depew has it in the midfield area. Depew trying to fire it ahead. That ball knocked down, and that will do it for the first half. So at the end of the first quarter, At the end of the first quarter, it is Pioneer 5, Bedford 2. We want to thank our second quarter sponsors. That includes Stadium Hardware, Specialty Eye Institute, Dr. Louis Gago, Linda Forrester of Real Estate Agent of E-Wings Pro, Ann Arbor Made Reclaimed Woodworks, Monahan Seafood Market, Meadowlark Design and Build, PLJ and Blue Jays Lacrosse Program, PLG, excuse me, Ron's Garage, Germain Auto. We also want to thank Edwards and Schaefer Orthodontics, Franklin Templeton, Gago Fertility, Dr. April Gago, Knights Southside Market, Jen Gear Photography, First Martin Corporation, Mike Martin, Pioneer alum, Venue, Restaurant and Bar, State and Liberty Clothing, Coach and Four Barbers Shop, and I believe, taking a look, Pollock Investment Advisors, Rob Pollock, a Pioneer alum, Wentzler Gear, Grease Saver Dentistry, and Electric Lawn Care. Thank you to all the wonderful sponsors of Pioneer. McNamara Orthodox as well. Thank you to all the wonderful sponsors of Pioneer Men's Lacrosse. Please help those who help the team. Let's play a quick message from the MHSAA.
Where can you find good information on all kinds of topics related to the well-being of our student athletes? Check out the health and safety page of the MHSAA website. Learn about multi-sport participation, heat and hydration, cardiovascular resources, as well as insurance benefits available for our students. It's all on the health and safety page of MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
The love of the game draws us to sports as players, coaches, spectators, and officials. For officials, it's a way to stay in the game they once played, to feel the thrill of putting on the uniform, stepping out of the playing surface, hustling to make the call, and building the relationships which can only be built in sports. If you still have that love of the game, we always need new officials. Register now at MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
As players heading back out onto the field. .12 up on the clock, 5-2 Pioneer with the lead. Wellman versus Work. Popped up, now moved over. Bringing it down the near side is Geisler. Geisler over midfield, Geisler. Over the restraining line, spinning, trying to get around Porter. Geisler, bounce shot. Denson got a piece of it. Gets it back behind his goal. Denson launches it ahead. Is grabbing it, coming ahead is Latch. Latch rakes it up over the restraining line. Latch over to McQueen. McQueen on the near wing. Back over to Latch. Top of the, back into the midfield area. Latch. Now flips it over on the far wing to Rosenberg. Rosenberg down to Cow. Cow heads towards the goal line extended. Now sends it back into the midfield area to Rosenberg. Rosenberg over to Latch. Latch moves it on the near wing to McQueen. McQueen back behind the goal over to Friedman. Friedman over to Cow. Cow goes over the goal line extended, heading towards the top of the offensive zone. Cow fakes the shot, sidearm shot that just goes wide. Staley got a piece of it. Friedman runs it out. 11:04 left to go. Friedman over to Cow. Cow comes up the far sideline, spins, trying to race towards the crease. That knocked away, trying to rake it back. Excuse me, that was Rosenberg. Cow now trying to get it before it moves over midfield, as now that's raked up by Latch, but a whistle. As that is going to be a push. That'll be Pioneer ball. As now over the restraining line, McQueen has it. McQueen fires it in along the end line to Friedman. Friedman over on the far wing to Rosenberg. Rosenberg heads towards the restraining line. Latch over to Cow in the midfield area. Cow steps over the restraining line, cuts to his left, spins between the hash marks, sidearm shot. As that was grabbed and deflected out the far sideline. Closest to it was Rosenberg. That will stay Pioneer ball. Rosenberg has it on the far sideline, sends it back into the midfield area to Latch. Latch over to Cow between the hash marks. Cow over the restraining line, cuts to his right. And stutter step, sidearm shot, and in as he was falling to the ground, fired it in. As Cow puts it in, that is his second goal of the game.
Pioneer goal number 7, Sam Cow, assisted by number 27, Jet Latch.
Latch on the assist. As 10:09 left to go here in the second. Pioneer 6, Bedford 2. It is a 3-goal run by Pioneer, but that raked up by Werrick. Werrick, again, fantastic in that face-off. Werrick steps over the restraining line, coming down on the numbers. Werrick now goes underneath the goal line extended. Werrick trying to work against Sanders. Good job to knock it up in the air by Denson and keep it out. As looks like Denson's all right. He's kind of squatting in the crease. As bringing it ahead, Gago has it. Gago over to Shikachi. Shikachi down the numbers. Shikachi into the offensive zone. Gets over to McQueen on the near wing. McQueen back there into the near corner as McQueen is working against Suplica. As that he stepped out the end line. That will be Bedford ball with 9:25 left to go. 6-2. Pioneer with the lead. Bedford with the ball, getting it out of their own offensive zone as Suplica Trying to fire it ahead, trying to steal it is Dutton racing over. Sanders had it, now it's loose. Still battling for it. As there's a scrum over there trying to pull it away. Bodies hitting the turf, and that raked up by Staley. Staley firing it ahead. Here comes Patrick Williamson. Patrick Williamson coming down the near hash marks over the restraining line. Patrick Williamson with the long pole has that knocked away. Is trying to get it. Shikachi still loose. Now all the way back into midfield area. Raked up by Patrick Williamson. Patrick Williamson fires it over on the far sideline. As bringing it down the far sideline. As that is Lugosilski, Blake Lugosilski. As that out in front and shot. Putting it in his number 85, Barber, as he was assisted by Blake Lugosilski. The assist to number 3, Blake Lugosilski. Number 85 is Barber.
Bedford goal number 85, Cameron Barber. Assist number 3, Blake Lugosilski.
As that stops a 3-goal run by Pioneer. Bedford cuts it to a 3-goal lead, and again, Warwick grabs it in the face, grabs the face-off. Now coming ahead down the near wing is Sevilla. Sevilla steps into the offensive zone, back into the midfield area, launches it over on the far hash marks. Coming ahead with it, Blake Lugosilski. Over to Warwick. Warwick underneath the goal line extended. Warwick trying to fire it out in front, grabbing it as McIntyre shot. That goes out, run out by Bedford as they'll have it. Sevilla has it in along the end line. Bedford trying to start a goal run of their own. They just snapped a 3-goal run by Pioneer. As Sevilla trying to bring it over the goal line extended. That is going to be an illegal screen, as that will go over to Pioneer on the illegal screen. Wolf. Now Shikachi will rake it up. Shikachi now launches it over to Denzin. Denzin brings it ahead, 6-3. Pioneer with the lead, but Bedford with the last goal. 7:36 left to go here in the second. Denzin over his own restraining line, launches it down the near wing. Schaefer trying to get it, trying to keep it in bounds. That raked up by McQueen. McQueen has it. Top of the offensive zone. McQueen coming from the near side to the far side. McQueen works through a check. Now launches it in the middle. Wolf has it. Wolf with a shot that just goes wide to the near side. Friedman closest to it, so Friedman with the run out. That Cow working his way up the far sideline, over to Ayers. Ayers over on the near wing to McQueen. McQueen switches shoulders. McQueen has that knocked away, trying to get it back loose. Still on the ground. Wolf rakes it up. Wolf gets it over to Friedman. Friedman underneath the goal line, extended from the near side to the far side. His pass in the middle, popped up, knocked away, grabbed by Cow. Is a good job by Hensley to get it, but then couldn't hang on to it. Rosenberg on the near wing. Rosenberg over the restraining line, coming down the numbers. Rosenberg goes underneath the goal line, extended, switches spots with Friedman. Rosenberg in along the end line, going from the near side to the far side. Rosenberg back there working against Patrick Williamson. Patrick Williamson knocks that away. Rosenberg gets it back, raking it up. Rosenberg on the near wing, underneath the goal line, extended. Fires that over to Cow. Cow gets it on a hop. Cow back there working against Hensley. Cow heads up the far sideline now, trying to make his way between the hash marks. Cow lofts it over to Ayers. Ayers shot it, kind of backhanded it as his body facing the other direction and just missed. As Rosenberg has it in along the end line. Rosenberg fires it over to Cow. Cow, even with the goal on the far wing, sends it back into the midfield area. That over, trying to rake it up is McQueen. McQueen Trying to battle there, as that is going to be a push called. As McQueen will have it, 5:44 left to go. Here before halftime, 6-3, Pioneer with the lead, but Bedford has given them a heck of a battle. Friedman back behind the goal, trying to get a streaking Wolf, trying to cut up in front. Staley has it just outside of his own crease on the near wing. Staley brings it ahead between the hash marks. 5:44 left to go. McQueen comes over to provide pressure. Now Sevilla racing up the numbers on the near wing. That knocked away. Ground ball in the midfield area. Gago rakes it up, heading the other direction over midfield. Gago flies it over to McQueen. McQueen, defense got back. Good job by the Bedford defense. Bounce shot by McQueen goes just wide to the far side. But Patrick Williamson got back quickly before a fast break opportunity for Pioneer. And they'll say Bedford closest to that on the run out. So here comes Bedford coming up the field. Making a move is Sonyo over midfield, trying to fire it down the far sideline, attempting to get Lugosilski getting that off the tip of his cross right into the Bedford bench. As Rosenberg tracks down the ball. 5:21 left to go here before halftime. Over the restraining line, Rosenberg takes a check, gets over midfield, makes a swim move. Rosenberg between the hash marks, floats it over to Ayers. Ayers over to Cal. Cal fires it right in front of the crease over to Friedman. Knocked away. Racing the other direction is Suplica. Suplica over midfield. Coming down the far sideline. There is a whistle. Timeout. Bedford will take it with them. Well, we want to thank all the wonderful, amazing sponsors of Pioneer Men's Lacrosse. That includes Stadium Hardware, Special Eye Institute, Dr. Louis Gago, Linda Forster, real estate agent from E-Wings Pro, Ann Arbor Made, Reclaimed Woodworks, Monahan Seafood Market, Meadowlark Design and Build, PLG and Blue Jays Lacrosse Program, Lon's Garage, Germain Auto. That includes also Edwards and Schaefer Orthodontics, Franklin Templeton, Gago Fertility, Dr. April Gago, Knights Southside Market, Jengir Photography, First Martin Corporation, Mike Martin, a Pioneer alum, Venue, Restaurant and Bar, State and Liberty Clothing, Coach M4 Barber Shop, Pollock Investment Advisors, Rob Pollock, a Pioneer alum, Winsler's Gear, Grishaver Dentistry, Electric Lawn Company, and McNamara Orthodontics. Thank you to all those folks who help support the team. As a gray day today, there hasn't been quite as much rain as maybe the sky would look like, but still fairly temperate temperatures at 63 degrees, much nicer than the beginning of last week. As we'll hope the spring weather continues and doesn't push us back into that wintry mix. As Bedford has it right in front of their own bench. Blake Lugosilski with it there. Lugosilski over the restraining line, fires it, even with the goal. Coming ahead with it. Over there is, that's Depew. Depew over on the near wing to McIntyre. McIntyre gets it, even with the goal, over to Werrick. Werrick back to McIntyre. McIntyre, top of the offensive zone, gets it to Depew. Between the hash marks, Depew moves it over to Johnson. Johnson coming down the far wing. Johnson. And back over to Lugosilski. Loses the cross. So it's a yard sale. Depew has it on the far sideline. Depew sidesteps now. Ooze working his way up the far sideline. That tipped ball in the air, pulled away by Gago. Gago gets it over to Denzin. Denzin moves it over to Schaefer on the near wing. Schaefer running up the near wing. Schaefer over to Shikachi. Shikachi racing in. Shikachi over to McQueen. McQueen with the shot, and oh, that just goes wide. Just a little wide to the far side. Pioneer will maintain possession. 3:51 left to go. 6-3. Pioneer with the lead. Bedford with the last goal. That ball trying to get it to Rosenberg. That rolls over midfield, coming down the far wing. Bedford has it there, as that is Barber with it. Barber sends it back out into midfield area, as knocked away from Lugosilski. Good job by Sanders. And now coming ahead with it's Rosenberg. Rosenberg over midfield. Rosenberg between the hash marks, races over the restraining line, fakes the pass. Now getting it and just over the cross of Friedman. That goes out the end line, and that will be Kicking Mules ball. 3:19 left to go before halftime. As Sonyo brings it ahead. Sonyo comes down the numbers. That tipped away from behind by Friedman. Battle. That goes out the sideline. Well, looks like it's going to be Pioneer ball. Friedman has it on the far sideline. Friedman sends it to Cow, who steps just underneath the goal line, extended on the far wing. Cow. Now in along the end line, Cow sends it back to Friedman, even with the goal on the far side, back into the midfield area to Ayers. Ayers over to Dutton between the hash marks. Dutton floats it all the way down on the near wing. Gets it over to McQueen. McQueen trying to make his way between the hash marks. Triple team McQueen loses the ball, battling for it, as that is raked up by Dutton. Dutton over to Ayers. Ayers coming down the near wing. Ayers on the numbers on the near wing, sends it back behind to Cow. Cow underneath the goal line, extended. Cow back there working against Patrick Williamson. Cow goes over the goal line, extended on the far wing. Cow flips that over as that rolls and out the near sideline, as Ayers just couldn't get his cross on the pass, and that is a turnover by Pioneer. Bedford has it now on the near sideline. As two has it, don't have that on my roster. Staley floats it ahead, now coming down on the far wing. Bringing it ahead is Sonyo. Sonyo moved back over onto the far wing. Waked up as Lugosilski going down the far numbers. Lugosilski being watched by Porter. Even with the goal on the far wing, Lugosilski spins. Moves it back. And underhanded shot by Johnson. Just goes wide. Running it out is Warwick. Warwick has it in along the end line. Warwick on the near wing, underneath the goal line extended. Porter watching him. Warwick dips the shoulder over the goal line extended. Warwick trying to spin towards the crease. Warwick with the shot. Denzin knocks it down. The ball loose. Warwick trying to get it as he rakes that up. Warwick fantastic on those ground balls. Shot and a goal. As that was number 85 who got it out in front, Barber.
Bedford goal number 85, Cameron Barber.
As that was set up by Warwick, number 5, from behind.
Assist number 5, Brady Warwick.
So that is 2 Bedford goals in a row. They have their first goal run of the game. They've cut it down to a 2-goal lead by Pioneer, 6-4. And again, Warwick, his skills getting those ground balls and leverage has really gotten Bedford several extra possessions. Now Wellman in to take the face-off. Andrew Williamson on the other side. On the near wing is Parshall. That ball raked up as Bedford continues their domination in the center circle. Timeout called by Bedford. Well, let's take a moment, play a few messages from the MHSAA.
16 seconds left in the third quarter. Pioneer 6, Bedford 4.
Where can you find good information on all kinds of topics related to the well-being of our student athletes? Check out the health and safety page of the MHSAA website. Learn about multi-sport participation, heat and hydration, cardiovascular resources, as well as insurance benefits available for our students. It's all on the health and safety page of MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
The love of the game draws us to sports as players, coaches, spectators, and officials. For officials, it's a way to stay in the game they once played, to feel the thrill of putting on the uniform, stepping out of the playing surface, hustling to make the call, and building the relationships which can only be built in sports. If you still have that love for the game, we always need new officials. Register now at MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Pioneer penalty as Porter is taking a knee by the scorer's bench. Bedford man up with 1 minute 16 seconds left, trying to cut the lead down to 1 before halftime. Pioneer would love to steal it away and stop the 2-goal run by Bedford. Barber has it, goes over the restraining line, coming down the numbers on the near wing. Barber floats it back behind to Lugosilski. Lugosilski directly behind the goal. Lugosilski fires it over on the far wing. Underhanded shot and putting it in as I believe trying to get the number 62, Depew fires it in.
Bedford goal number 62, Aiden Depew.
I believe it was Blake Lugosilski, number 3, who assisted.
Assisted by number 3, Blake Lugosilski.
1 minute, 2 seconds left. 3-goal run by Bedford. Coming towards halftime. Bedford's trying to get this even before halftime. Pioneer would love to stop this goal run as Wellman trying to battle for it. That was raked up. Ball still on the ground as that goes back towards the restraining line as it continues to be on the ground. Now raked up by Denson in its crease. Denson fires it down the near side. Here comes Rosenberg over midfield. Rosenberg running down the near hash marks. Flips it over to Cow on the far wing as that goes out. And that will be Bedford ball. 36 seconds left to go. Bringing it ahead. Suplica with it. Suplica fires it right to midfield. Now here comes Patrick Williamson. Patrick Williamson launches it that off of McIntyre's cross and will roll out, trying to keep it in. Ground ball. Now bringing ahead is Schaefer. Schaefer launches it all the way towards midfield as that will be raked up as Bedford has it. And it's sent back on the other side of midfield. As Denson has it now. That fired down the pitch, and Pioneer takes the 6-5 lead into halftime, but Bedford has shown their fight, and they have a 3-goal run going into halftime to make it 6-5 Pioneer.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, Pioneer Lacrosse would like to recognize its graduating seniors.
As let me turn it over to the mic here for the seniors.
The pandemic broke out. We all would like to forget that. They started school online, and then they even lost their freshman year of lacrosse. So, big congratulations to all these gentlemen. Starting off for the seniors, number 2, Bennett Ayers, captain. Bennett is accompanied by his parents, Liam and Christine. His plans for next year include attending Michigan State University. His favorite Pioneer lacrosse memory, going to playoffs and being a part of the team. Words of advice for younger team members: hit the wall and eat. Our second senior is Hayden Beer, number 5, accompanied by his parents, Anna and Derek, and sisters Charlotte and Ella. His plans for next year include attending Michigan State University. His favorite Pioneer lacrosse memory, winning against Saline. His words of advice include: enjoy high school lacrosse as best you can. Our next senior is number 7, Sam Cowell, captain. He's accompanied by his parents, Angela and Fawn Cowell. Plans for next year include attending the University of Michigan Ross School of Business. His favorite Pioneer lacrosse memory, beating Saline this year. His words of advice: try in school. Academics are important. Our next senior is number 10, two-time captain August Gago. He is accompanied by his mother April, brother Armand, and sisters Angelina and Grace. His plans for next year include attending the University of Michigan studying biochemistry. His favorite Pioneer Lacrosse memory, team dinners after big wins. His words of advice include put in the work and the results will follow. Our next senior includes Kevin Dutton, number 12, accompanied by his parents Keith and Anna. His plans for next year include attending the University of Michigan. His favorite Pioneer Lacrosse memory, ringing the bell after beating Skyline at home this year. His words of advice include always have confidence in yourself on the field and cherish the time with your coaches and teammates. Our next senior is Nick Boylan, number 13. He is accompanied by his dad Matthew, stepmom Denise, and brother Jeremy. His plans for next year include playing football at Albany College. His favorite Pioneer Lacrosse memory, rushing the field after beating Saline on their own turf. His words of advice include make the most of your years in high school and have no regrets. Our next senior includes Cullen Wellman, number 14. He's accompanied by his parents Adam and Cynthia. His plans for next year include attending the University of Colorado in Boulder. His favorite Pioneer Lacrosse memory, beating Saline. His words of advice include learn the rules so you don't get ejected. Our next senior includes Philip Schaefer, number 15. He's accompanied by his parents Sean and Karen and brothers Liam and Lucas. His plans for next year include attending the University of Michigan to study biochemistry. His favorite Pioneer Lacrosse memory, beating Saline 10-9. His words of advice, always give 100%. Stay humble and respectful on and off the field. Our next senior includes Brent Kakachi, number 19. He's accompanied by his parents Jeff and Kelly and siblings Jack and Vivian. Plans for next year include attending Michigan State University to study astrophysics. His favorite Pioneer Lacrosse memory, when Lucas and Mike threw a chair at the locker room wall after sweeping Skyline their junior year. His words of advice, make sure to have confidence in yourself and your abilities. You'll play like a winner if you know you are one. Our next senior is Aaron Puno, number 20. He's accompanied by his parents Valentine and Edgar. Plans for next year include attending the University of Michigan, Taubman College of Urban Planning. His favorite Pioneer Lacrosse memory, the glorious victories against the enemy Saline. His words of advice, it's all about the heart. Our next senior is number 21, Corey LaPointe. He's accompanied by his father, Dan LaPointe. His plans for next year include attending Northwestern University. His favorite Pioneer Lacrosse memory, beating Dexter last season on their senior night. His words of advice, if you want to do something, then do it. Our next senior is Adam Porter, number 23. He's accompanied by his parents, Scott and Katie. His plans for next year include attending Eastern Michigan University. His favorite Pioneer Lacrosse memory, being a part of the lacrosse family and helping to bring new players to this great sport. His words of advice include practice in the off-season with your teammates and enjoy your time playing the sport. Our next senior is Angus McQueen, number 24. He's accompanied by his mom, Casey McQueen, and his grandmother, Pat McQueen. His plans for next year include attending the University of Colorado in Boulder. His favorite lacrosse memory, running the SEC. His words of advice, trust the process. Our next senior is Hassan Kande, number 33. He's accompanied by his brothers Mohammed and Hussein Kande. His plans for next year include taking a gap year to go live in Guinea. His favorite Pioneer Lacrosse memory, beating Saline in the fashion that we did at their house. His words of advice, play hard. And let's give a round of applause to all of our graduating seniors.
as we'll step away, play a few messages from the MHSAA, and be right back with your second half action. At the half, it's Pioneer 6 and Bedford 5.
Sportsmanship has never been more important between the lines in athletics and outside those lines in our communities. To listen, to respect, to understand, to practice common decency, to have competition without contentiousness. Sportsmanlike qualities are essential components of life itself. Let's all work together to not only be good sports, but good people. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Have we gotten to the point where at some high school game that an official has finally had enough from coaches, players, and adults, pulls off the whistle, and offers it to you? Let's hope not. There's no way you could do a better job. It's on everyone to promote good sportsmanship. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Nearly 2,000 of the state's top student athletes will be recognized for excelling academically and in school activities through the MHSAA's Scholar Athlete Award, underwritten by Farm Bureau Insurance. The applicants will be in the running for a total of 32 $1,000 college scholarships. Application materials are available exclusively online through the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Health concerns in high school sports go beyond physical injuries. The mental well-being of our young people is a hotter topic than ever before. The Michigan High School Athletic Association website has resources to help adults and students recognize potential problems and deal with them in a positive way. You can learn more about these mental health resources on the Health and Safety page of the MHSAA website. A message from the MHSAA promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Can you go anywhere and find an endeavor in society where we've come to accept and tolerate an adult, and even kids, treating another adult the way we allow spectators, coaches, and players to treat a high school game official? Can you? No one has the right to abuse game officials. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Here are 5 more good reasons for multi-sport participation. Multi-sport athletes are more coachable. They have higher athletic ceilings. They become better talent in the long run. They have higher sports IQs. Their sport skills transfer, and they are better teammates. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
We do want to thank all the wonderful, amazing sponsors of Pioneer Men's Lacrosse. That includes Edwards and Schaefer Orthodontics, Franklin Templeton, Gago Fertility, Dr. April Gago, Knights Southside Market, Jen Gear Photography, First Martin Corporation, Mike Martin, a Pioneer alum, Venue, Restaurant and Bar, State and Liberty, Clothing, Coach and For Barber Shop, Pollock Investment Advisors, Rob Pollock, a Pioneer alum, Winsler's Gear, Reshaper Dentistry, Electric Lawn Company, Stadium Hardware, Specialty Eye Institute, Dr. Louis Gago, Linda Forrester, real estate agent with E-Wings Pro, Ann Arbor Made Reclaim Woods, Monahan Seafood Market, Metalwork Design and Build, PLG, Blue Jay Lacrosse Program, Ron's Garage, Germain Auto, as well as McNamara Orthodontics. That ball back, raked up by Cowan Count. Coming ahead with it for Bedford. Bedford on a 3-goal run, trying to get things even as they have it back in the midfield area. Launched over by Geisler. Lugosilski has it just on the far wing, back in the midfield area. Porter comes over to watch him. Lugosilski steps over the restraining line. Floats it down on that far wing for McIntyre. McIntyre back over to Lugosilski. Just over the goal line extended. Now Lugosilski trying to float it up over, as that is raked up as he's trying to get it over to Warwick. And knocked down in front. Now that ball fired over the center line. Cal has it. Cal over the restraining line in the offensive area. Races down the near numbers, Cal. Launches it, top of the attack zone, over to Ayers. Ayers gets it on the far wing to Dutton. Dutton over to McQueen. McQueen rakes that up. McQueen comes back into the midfield area, now cuts over the restraining line. Now fires it over to Cal. Cal trying to make his way over the crease. Shot that hit the crossbar. Back over on the far wing. Dutton trying to get to it, and that will go out the far sideline. That will be Bedford ball as Cowan has it. Coming down the far sideline. Or excuse me, now they will get that over. Trying to come ahead with it is Geisler. Geisler over midfield. Launched over on the near wing. As that's over to Barber. Barber. Back behind the goal. Barber. Launches it to McIntyre. McIntyre gets it over to Sevilla. Sevilla in the midfield area. Between the hash marks. Lugosielski cuts over the restraining line, coming down the far hash marks, fires it, bounce shot and in, and we are tied up. Number 3, Blake Lugosielski puts it in.
Bedford goal, number 3, Blake Lugosielski.
As Bedford has now a 4-goal run. And Pioneer finds themselves knotted up on Senior Day 6-6 with huge SEC red points in the balance. Wellman in to take the draw. Andrew Williamson on the other side. As that ball right at the center circle is raked up by Rosenberg. Rosenberg coming down the hash marks over midfield. Rosenberg heads over the restraining line, now heads between the hash marks. Rosenberg comes back into the midfield area. Rosenberg flips that over to an oncoming Dutton. Dutton lofts it over on the near wing to Cow. Cow back steps, now goes underneath the goal line, send it over to Friedman. Friedman in along the end line, gets it over to McQueen on the far wing. McQueen heads towards the top of the offensive zone. McQueen taking a few checks, loses it, gets it back between the hash marks. McQueen with a bounce shot, saved by Staley. And Staley grabs it on a hop in the crease. And fired ahead down the far wing. Trying to bring it ahead over midfield as that was Suplica who fired it now. That launch back. Lugosielski has it right at the restraining line. Just inside of the far sideline. His substitutions coming in is Sevilla came in. Now Lugosielski trying to come outside of the far hash mark. That moves over onto the near wing. Goes out the near sideline. That will be Pioneer's ball. Just looking for a pass between the hash marks. Here comes Dutton. Dutton comes outside the numbers. Dutton over midfield. Dutton cuts towards the center of the field. Gets it over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg in the midfield area. Rosenberg runs, gets over the restraining line on the far wing. Rosenberg steps back into the midfield area. Rosenberg now launches it, and Cow with a shot that deflects. Latch closest to it, running it out on that far sideline, so he'll take that. Suplica comes over to watch him. Now Cow on the far wing goes underneath the goal line extended. Cow goes from the far side to the near side. Cow into the near corner, spins with it. Cow now gets that over to Friedman on the near wing. Friedman underneath the goal line extended, goes over the goal line extended, gets it to Dutton. Dutton with the shot. As that's grabbed by Staley. Staley over to Sunyo. Sunyo coming down the far wing, back to Staley. Staley bringing it up. Staley launches it ahead. Lugosielski trying to rake it up. That grabbed. Fired back on the defensive side over to Schaefer. Schaefer sidearms it over to Gago. Gago over the midfield. Gago heads towards the restraining line. Gets it over to Friedman. Friedman over to Cow. Cow shot it in. Cow from Friedman, and Pioneer takes the lead again. So Pioneer stops a 4-goal run by the Bedford Kicking Mules. Pioneer looking to put a goal run together of their own. Bedford wants to get it right back to even. Wellman in to take the face off. Andrew Williamson out there as well. Latch on the near wing with Cowan. Porter on the far wing over there, joined by Geisler. As that ball raked up and bringing it ahead, here comes Bedford. As that would be Geisler with it. Geisler steps back into the midfield area. Geisler. It's it back to Lugosilski. Lugosilski between the hash marks. Lugosilski cuts to his right over the restraining line, trying to float it out in front. Shot, as that was a good save by Denzin. Loose. Wellman trying to chase it down, that all the way back towards the midfield. Lugosilski rakes it up as he has it. Launches it between the hash marks, coming in with it. Warwick just over the crossbar. Run out by Barber. Barber will have it in along the end line. 6:36 left to go here in the second. 7-6. Pioneer with the 1-goal lead. Bedford with the ball in the offensive zone. McIntyre will step over the restraining line back into the midfield area on that far wing. McIntyre comes between the hash marks. Now racing down the near hash marks. McIntyre fires it back. Grabbed. Now bringing it. Warwick has it. Top of the offensive zone, coming down the near wing. Trying to get it back to McIntyre. McIntyre between the hash marks now in the midfield area. McIntyre gets it back over to Lugosilski. He pauses, surveys the defense, fires it over, shot! And that put in by number 85. That will be Barber who put it in. Blake Lugosilski on the assists. So Bedford ties it right back up at 5:58. 7-7 is the score. Gago in to take the face off. On the other side is Andrew Williamson. As that raked up by Gago, using that long pole wisely over to McQueen. McQueen fires it in. McQueen from Gago. Gago's second assist on the game. So Pioneer gets right back ahead by 1. They will have to keep the pressure on as this Bedford team is playing very well today. Pushing Pioneer. Gago again in for the face-off. This time Warwick comes back in to take the face-off. Rosenberg on the far wing with Johnson. Ayers on the near wing with Cowan. That ball loose, moved back. Rosenberg has it. Rosenberg coming up the near hash marks over midfield. Rosenberg over the restraining line into the offensive zone. Gets it over to Cow on the near wing. Cow outside the numbers. Moves it back into the midfield area to Rosenberg. Rosenberg over the numbers, coming down, spins between the hash marks. Rosenberg now cuts to the far hash marks. Rosenberg, looking to get it over to McQueen, and his body was moving to the left, and the pass floated to the left and goes out. That will be Bedford's ball with a chance to tie it back up. 8-7 here in the third. 5:55 left to go. As Bedford races ahead with it, that ball down, trying to get it. Ground ball raked up by Bedford as Warwick has it. Trying to make a move over midfield. Warwick heads towards the offensive zone. Warwick floats it over to Depew. Depew steps over the restraining line. Depew back in the midfield area, heads over onto the near wing. Being watched by Beer. Depew coming down the numbers on the near wing. Depew now backs up. Flips that back into the midfield area over to Johnson. Johnson cuts to his right. Johnson now gets it back to Depew. Depew heads up the near sideline, right to the restraining line. Depew now starts to head down the near wing, back over to Johnson. Johnson sidesteps, goes between the hash marks. Johnson back into that midfield area. Johnson Back over now. Wyrick has it. Wyrick over to Depew. That on the ground. Depew trying to rake it up. Ball grabbed. Rosenberg almost had it. Still battle for it on the ground. And popped up high and grabbed. Snatched out of midair by Suplica. Shot that saved by Denzin. Excuse me, that was Olery who grabbed it out of midair. Now back and along the end line. Shikachi has it. Shikachi coming up the near sideline. Shikachi over the restraining line. Shikachi launches it, arcs it up. That grab by Ayers. Ayers comes over the restraining line into the offensive zone. Ayers flips that over to McQueen. McQueen back over to Friedman. Friedman underneath the goal line, extended over to Cow on the near wing. Cow over into the midfield area to Dutton. Dutton gets it over to Latch. Latch back over to McQueen on the far wing, just above the goal line, extended over to Friedman underneath the goal line, extended now over to Cow on the near wing. Cow back to Dutton, back into the midfield area. Dutton comes between the hash marks over the restraining line. Dutton cuts down the near hash mark, shot, and that a great save by Staley. He has it back behind his goal, flips that back over. Now trying to pop it away is Cal, raked up by Senyo. Senyo fires it ahead, loose ball is coming in, raking it up is Dutton. Dutton comes underneath the goal line extended. Dutton coming from the near side to the far side. Dutton cuts above the goal line extended, shot that just goes skittering across the top crossbar. Closest to it was Cal, but a player down for Pioneer, as there will be a timeout for an injury. As the trainer comes on, we really appreciate all the wonderful work the trainers do. We love all of these athletes playing their absolute guts out, but you don't want to see any of these athletes injured. So everyone takes a knee. And again, in high school, we keep the camera off the injured player to give them a little bit of privacy. As coming off the field, I believe that is Dutton over there who heads off the field. We hope he's all right. Pioneer ball on the near wing. Cal has it just above the goal line extended. As Dutton heads over to get looked at on the bench. As there's the whistle, Cow flips it back behind to Latch. Latch back to Cow, above the goal line extended, back to Latch underneath the goal line extended. Whistle. Timeout called by Pioneer. We want to thank all the wonderful, amazing sponsors of Pioneer Men's Lacrosse, helping to bring you this nail-biter, great battle of the game between these two squads. Edwards and Schaefer Orthodontics, Franklin Templeton, Gago Fertility, Dr. April Gago, Knight, Southside Market, Chen Gear Photography, First Martin Corporation, Mike Martin, a Pioneer alum, Venue, Restaurant and Bar, State and Liberty Clothing, Coach and Four Barbers Shop, Pollock Investment Advisors, Rob Pollock, a Pioneer alum, Winsler's Gear, Gray Shaber Dentistry, Electric Lawn Company, McNamara Orthodontics, Stadium Hardware, Specialty Eye Institute, Dr. Louis Gago, Linda Forrester, real estate agent with E-Wings Pro, Ann Arbor Made, Reclaimed Woodworks, Monahan, Seafood Market, Metalart, Design and Build, PNG Blue Jays lacrosse programs, Ron's Garage, Germain Auto, and Grishaver Dentistry. We appreciate all of the wonderful, wonderful sponsors of Pioneer Lacrosse. As there is the whistle, Bedford breaks the huddle. Bedford in that color combination that's not too favored here in Ann Arbor. Nice gray tops and red pants. Some may say looks a little bit like scarlet. Pioneer in their home whites with the gray numbers outlined in purple on the back and on the front, and they have the dark helmets with the block A's on them. As Cow sends it, top of the attack zone, over to Rosenberg on the near wing. Rosenberg over to Ayers. Ayers back to Rosenberg on the near wing. Over to Cow. Cow just over the goal line extended, gets it back behind to Latch. Latch over to Ayers with a shot and another great save by Staley. As that trying to roll it over, that goes out the Far sideline. As there is a Bedford taking a knee. As you got 2 players down, taking a knee by the scorer's bench. So Pioneer, 2 players up. Coming ahead, Ayers steps over the restraining line, over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg over to Cow on the near wing. Goes underneath the goal line extended. Cow gets it over to Latch. Latch. Or no, Cow still has it. Fake me out. McQueen with the shot. As that grab by Staley. Staley making his way, firing it all the way down. And that was a Hail Mary for, a fantastic Hail Mary for football. Saw Connor Easthope throw a few of those a couple years ago. He's now playing at Harvard. Hopefully we'll get to see him maybe this coming fall. Rosenberg over midfield, coming down the near numbers. And flip back over to Cow. Cow underneath the Latch. Latch fires it out in front. Ayers with a shot and puts it in. Ayers from Latch. And Pioneer gets a 2-goal run. As at 1:28 left to go here in the third. Pioneer has the 2-goal lead, 9-7, but Pioneer will have to keep maximum effort because you know Bedford is not going to give up for a second. Wellman out there to take the face-off. Also out there is Warwick, who had a lot of success on the face-off early. On the near wing is LaPointe. On the far wing is Porter, as now one of the players runs in for Bedford. That would be Senyo. And raked up, coming ahead with it. And Warwick has it over onto the far wing as that goes out. The end line, closest to it is going to be Gago. Quick fast break shot there by Bedford. Gago bringing it ahead. 1:18 left to go here in the third. Gago moves it over to Schaefer. Schaefer coming down the near sideline. Schaefer gets it over to Cow. Cow goes underneath the goal line extended. Cow going from the near side to the far side. That knocked down as Cow was trying to get it over to McQueen. Good defensive play by Suplica, who comes the other way with it. Suplica collision on the far sideline. As coming back, Ayers has it. Ayers takes a check, holds on to it, now loses it. That ball, trying to rake it up. Here comes Latch. Latch has it just before across the midfield line. Over to Cow on the near wing. Cow out by the numbers. Cow heads towards the top of the offensive zone. Now over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg fakes the pass, hangs onto it back into the midfield area over on the near wing. Rosenberg, swim move, trying to get around pressure. Rosenberg, and double team, flips it over, spinning with it. Cow coming in. Cow lofts it, and it just airs out into the far corner. Friedman trying to chase it down as they call that a shot that will be Pioneer ball. McQueen has it. McQueen underneath the goal line extended. McQueen goes above the goal line extended on that far wing. McQueen cradling the ball, now gets it over to Latch. Latch with a shot, and again a good save. Staley doing amazing work in the crease, and that will be the end of the second, or the third. At the end of the third, it is Pioneer 9, Bedford 7. Well, boy, don't hold your breath. It's going to be a whale of a fourth quarter. Make sure you keep tuned in. We, all the wonderful sponsors of Pioneer Men's Varsity Lacrosse, including Edwards and Schaefer Orthodontics, Franklin Templeton, Gago Fertility, Dr. April Gago, Knight Southside Market, Jen Gear Photography, First Martin Corporation, Mike Martin alum, Venue, Restaurant and Bar, State and Liberty Clothing, Coach and Four Barber Shop, Stadium Hardware, Special Eye Institute, Dr. Louis Gago, Linda Forrester, real estate agent with E-Wings Pro, Ann Arbor Made, Reclaimed Woodworks, Monahan Seafood Market, Metalwork, Design and Build, PNG and Blue Jays Lacrosse Programs, Ron's Garage, Germain Auto, Pollock Investment Advisors, Rob Pollock, Pioneer alum, Winsler's Gear, Reshaver Dentistry, Electric Lawn Company, and McNamara Orthodontics. 12 minutes up on the clock. Let's get a little push on, and we'll be right back. You know what? Everyone's breaking, so we won't play push on. We'll just keep it right here. Huge, important face-offs every time. Bedford has been very, very good at them. His work back in to take the face-off. Gago has had some success with that long pole in the face-off circle, or in the center circle for the face-off. Johnson on the near wing with Wellman on the far wing, Ayers. And he's leaning over, so I can't quite get the number over on the far side for Bedford. As Gago and rolls over, popped up in the air as Ayers rakes it up. Ayers coming down, loses it again as that pulled away by Werrick. Werrick faces a trio of players as now that's grabbed. Here comes Ayers. Ayers gets it over to McQueen. McQueen launches it over to Cow. Cow fires it in, and yet another save by Staley. Point blank. It was just Cow and Staley able to save that. 11:25 left to go. And fired ahead. Suplica has it over midfield. Suplica racing down. Pioneer by 2, 9-7. Suplica with a sidearm shot. It's not easy to get an accurate shot with those long poles, but boy, if you can get some velocity on that thing. As Werrick firing it over. Johnson had it, and ended up on the ground. Denzin getting that. Denzin back behind his goal. Denzin fires it all the way down. Now Rosenberg over. Sanders racing to get it. Sanders grabs it before it goes out the near sideline. Sanders now moves it back into midfield area. Over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg over on the near wing. Rosenberg lofts it down to McQueen. McQueen back behind the goal line. Over to Friedman. Friedman on the far hash mark. Sends it over the goal line, extended over to Cow. Cow sends it back into the mid. Nope, faked me. Cow still with it. Cow spinning, trying to get free. Even with the goal that knocked away. Wolf comes in to try and help as that popped up in the air. Trying to look to see what they're going to call. Looks like it's going to be Pioneers' ball. Looks like a push on there, but not with possession. So a push without possession is just a change in possession. As Wolf between the hash marks in the midfield area. Wolf cuts towards his right, coming down on the near hash marks. Wolf gets it back underneath the goal line, extended Friedman. Friedman moves it over to McQueen. McQueen directly behind the goal. McQueen gets a screen from Friedman, now comes over the goal line, extended. McQueen back to the goal, fires it over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg gets it on a hop. Rosenberg back to McQueen. McQueen over on the near wing. McQueen now spinning, trying to get between the hash marks. McQueen walled off by a trio of players. Shot and a goal! McQueen, a one-handed shot, held the cross up high and fired it with a single hand. McQueen fires it in. As he was battling some heavy, good pressure by Bedford, and McQueen still able to get that off.
Gago to take the face off.
And at 9:35, Gago staying in the center circle for the face-off. Dutton on the near wing, joined there by Geisler. Believe that's Cowan on the far wing with Ayers. And Gago in there. That raked up by Werrick. Werrick over midfield. That loose. Dutton grabs it. Dutton, and that will be a whistle. 9:28 left to go. Bedford ball as they'll have it on the Pioneer side of midfield. Pioneer 10, Bedford 7, 9:28 left to go. As Pioneer is down one.
Pioneer penalty.
As Bedford man up. Johnson over midfield. Johnson between the hash marks steps into the offensive zone. Johnson moves on the far wing to Depew. Depew gets it back behind to Lugosilski. Lugosilski sends it back. Is that McIntyre off of his cross, but Johnson gets it back in the midfield area. Johnson back over to McIntyre coming down the far hash marks. And back over on the far wing to Depew. Depew sends it. McIntyre back to Depew. Depew thought about a sidearm shot. Sends it back to McIntyre. McIntyre just outside the far hash marks over top of the attack zone. There's an underhanded shot and a good shot by Johnson who puts it in. So Bedford stops a 3-goal run. So 8:45, Bedford gets it back to a 2-goal game. Sanders on the near wing with Puccetti. Gago in to take the faceoff versus Warwick. Cowan over on the far wing with Rosenberg. As a discussion between Colt Jewelry and the official. Colt Jewelry's had his say. Now the official comes back. As he'll get the ball set right in the center circle, right between the blockades. Every face-off so big in this fourth quarter. Pop back grab out of midair by Puccetti. Puccetti. And pulled away by Gago. Gago heads into the offensive zone. Gago gets it over to Friedman. Friedman back to Rosenberg in the midfield area. Rosenberg over the restraining line. Rosenberg bounce shot. That grab by Staley. And Staley not letting any shot go by. And Staley fires it ahead to Cowan. Cowan trying to head towards midfield. Cowan, as that was knocked away, as it was a good check by McQueen. Coming the other direction. Here comes Cow. Cow firing it again. Staley with a save. One-on-one, second time Staley one-on-one with Cow, who is a fantastic shot. And Staley got that. That goes all the way out, down, and that'll go out the end line. Wow. Staley has, don't get me wrong, Denson is amazing, but Staley has put on a clinic today. Denson coming down the far side. Denson racing over his own restraining line. Denson trying to get towards midfield. Denson spins away with it. Denson goes down to his knees, pops back up as Denson looking for it, and there's a whistle. As the officials come over, as that is a push called, would be with possession, so
Bedford
that
penalty.
would be a Bedford penalty. So Pioneer man up. Denson looked like he was going to try and come all the way down, as the ball is going to be on the far sideline. As Rosenberg has it just over the restraining line on the far sideline. Back over to Ayers. Ayers back over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg moves it to Cow just above the goal line extended. Back behind to Friedman. Back between the hash marks. That rolls all the way over towards midfield. Tipped back by Shikachi. But it went over midfield, so that is over and back. That will be Bedford's ball. 7:14 left to go. 10-8. Pioneer with the lead, but Bedford scored last, and they have possession. As bringing it ahead is Geisler. Geisler over the string line, now back into the midfield area. Geisler now trying to split a pair, swim move, that ball down, but raked up by McIntyre. McIntyre back in the midfield area. McIntyre, trying to get it to an oncoming Depew, and tried to get Depew in stride, and it just went past him out the far sideline. Pioneer with possession. Gago has it on the far sideline. Gago brings it ahead down the far sideline with 6:48 left to go. Gago gets it over, now racing ahead. Rosenberg over the restraining line. Rosenberg coming down underneath the goal line extended. Rosenberg comes back, gets above the goal line extended. Rosenberg, shot at a goal! It's a jump shot, reminiscent of Jack Reed, as Rosenberg stops and it's trying to start a run by Pioneer now. That was at 6:35. Rosenberg taking it all the way around, 360 around the field before popping up and firing it in. 11-8 here. Pioneer with the 3-goal lead, 6:32 left to go. 2 huge points in the SEC Red. If Pioneer wins this one, Saline can only tie them, and Pioneer's beaten Saline twice. Gago over, trying to get it. That ball raked up by Wolf. Wolf over the restraining line. Wolf comes down, moves it over to McQueen, who fires it in. McQueen puts it in from Wolf.
Goal number 24, Angus McQueen.
Wolf, number 8 on the assist.
Assisted by number 8, Hayden Wolf.
So Pioneer takes a 4-goal lead with 6:21. But the way this Bedford team has played, Pioneer cannot take their foot off the gas. If they give them an inch, Bedford will be right back into this.
Wellman to take the face off for Pioneer.
Wellman to take the face off. Werrick on the other side. LaPointe on the near wing with Johnson. As that's back, Werrick gets it. Werrick into the offensive zone. As that knocked all the way back, raking it up over there is Barber. Barber gets it back into the midfield area. Barber working against Shikachi. Timeout Bedford. Well, let's play push on, and we'll be right back with your rest of your fourth quarter action.
Here are 5 good reasons for high school multi-sport participation. Fewer overuse injuries, less opportunity for emotional burnout, exposure to different kids and coaches, exposure to different roles, and learning to compete better. Being a multi-sport participant can help a kid become a more well-rounded person. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
As we're in the fourth, 12-8. Pioneer in the lead. They have a 4-goal lead, but Bedford has the ball. And they have been a tough opponent today. That comes back, ball over, shot and a goal. As that was put in by number 5, Werrick. Scooping up the ground ball and firing it in.
That's goal number 5, Brady Werrick.
That at 5:57. So Bedford stops a 2-goal run by Pioneer, looking to start their own goal run as they get it down to a 3-goal lead by Pioneer. 3 ticks under 6 minutes left to go. Ayers on the near wing.
I'm going to take the face off for Pioneer.
Joined over here with Geisler. Gago versus Werrick. Werrick drops it back to Geisler. Geisler coming up the near wing. Geisler over midfield. Geisler heads over the restraining line. Geisler now heads over onto the far wing, steps back into the midfield area. That moved over, launched on the near wing to McIntyre. McIntyre between the hash marks, spins trying to get away. McIntyre with a shot, and that goes high all the way out. And that will be Schaefer with the ball as, yeah, they're going to say that was a shot. If it was a pass, it'd be Pioneer ball. They'll say that was a shot that went awry, and it is Bedford's ball. As Depew moves it over between the hash marks. Shot, and a great save by Denson, as that was a point-blank shot by Werrick. Over on the near wing. Bringing it up is Schaefer. Schaefer sidearms it. And quickly trying to get to Shikachi. That will roll out the near sideline. That will go right back to Bedford with 5:08 left to go, 12-9. Pioneer with the 3-goal lead, but Bedford with the ball as bringing it ahead. Bedford number 2. Now racing ahead now with it. Suplica fires it over onto the near wing. As McIntyre has it. McIntyre cradles the ball. McIntyre look to get a screen now. Loses it. Gets it back into the midfield area. McIntyre arcs it over to that over on the far wing to Depew. Depew goes underneath the goal line extended. Depew trying to cut. Trying to get around Ayers. Depew over the goal line extended. Gets it to Johnson. Johnson with the shot. Denson with the save. We've been complimenting Staley all game long. Denson with a couple highlight reel saves. Ground ball right at midfield. Raked up. Here comes Bedford. Bedford racing ahead with it. They get it right back into the offensive zone. Schaefer trying to get the ground ball. Schaefer rakes it up back behind his own goal. Schaefer flips that over to Denson. Denson bringing it ahead. Denson over to Schaefer. Schaefer brings the ball up, gets it ahead to Shikachi. Shikachi between the hash marks. Shikachi trying to get a shot away, and that ball loose, still on the ground. McQueen trying to get to it. Back there, Crowan trying to get to it, coming away. Here comes Bedford racing down the near sideline. Over midfield is Suplica. Suplica fires it ahead. That ball on the ground. Over, trying to keep it inbound. Knocking it back was Barber. And loose, raking it up. Bedford with the hustle points out here. And then Denson snags the pass out of midair. Boy, Bedford has been racing to those ground balls and gotten some of those big hustle plays. Oh, Schaefer had it and just tried to get running before it was in the cross. He's been checked out of it. Schaefer firing it ahead. Ground ball still trying to get to it, but a whistle. And that will go over, as that is Bedford ball. Johnson fires it right to the restraining line. And that back over, isn't that, oh no, they hadn't gotten into the offensive zone. Johnson bringing it ahead. Johnson over the restraining line. Johnson back into the midfield area. Johnson between the hash marks. Schaefer trying to wall him off. Johnson with the shot. That goes high. As closest to it was Bedford. 2:54 left to go, 12-9. And an epic battle between these two SEC Red foes. As no whistles blown, as they'll say, the officials pointing. Is there a, oh, there's a ball. No, that's out. There was a ball on the field. They had to stop that. We don't need pinball where you have multiple balls in play. That would not be good. It's hard enough to be a lacrosse goalie. Depew has it on the far wing. Ayers watching him. Depew floats it over to McIntyre. McIntyre, oh, a wicked sidearm bounce shot. McIntyre fires it in from Depew.
Bedford goal, number 7, Brennan McIntyre.
From 62, Depew.
Assist number 62, Aiden Depew.
That at 4 or that at 2:46. It is a 2-goal game. With 2 minutes, 46 seconds left, Gago in to take the face-off. On the other side is Merrick. Every single possession here is absolutely huge. And substitution comes in for Bedford as they got their 3 to the restraining line to our left and to our right. Ball popped up, getting it knocked away from behind as Warwick had it. Now Gago coming away with it with a good check with the long pole. Gago fires it over to McQueen. McQueen now gets it back to Dutton, back in the midfield area. Dutton gets it over on the far wing to Cow. Cow heads down towards the goal line, underneath the goal line, extended over to Friedman. There is no shot clock in high school lacrosse. If you want some college and professional lacrosse, they have a shot clock, none in high school. Dutton between the hash marks. Dutton skies it over to McQueen on the near wing. 2:10 left to go. Back to Friedman, back behind the goal. Friedman over to Cow on the far wing. Cow. Ayers gives him a screen. Cow heads up towards the top of the attack zone. Over to McQueen. McQueen bounce shot, and Staley somehow traps it. As Staley again coming up with an amazing save. 1:51 left to go. Bedford comes down the far wing. Launched. Rolling, Schaefer trying to get to it. The ball loose in the Pioneer defensive zone. As Denson fires it ahead to Gago. Gago in the midfield area. Gago races over midfield. Gago comes down, checked away, and picked up by Sevilla. Sevilla over the restraining line. There's a sidearm shot and a goal. As that was number 3, Blake Lugosilski, who put it in.
Bedford goal number 3, Blake Lugosilski.
And at 1:22, it is a 3-goal run for Pioneer. It is a 1-goal game. 3-goal run for Bedford, forgive me. To make it a 1-goal game, 12-11, 1:22 left to go. Wellman back out to try and win this face-off as Warwick has been very, very good in that center circle. That ball trying to get it, trying to rake it up. Wellman still grabbing it. Wellman still chasing it down. Wellman has it. And that is going to be Pioneer ball on a timeout. 1 minute, 13 seconds left to go here, 12-11. Pioneer with the lead. And if we take a look again, looking at those looking at the SEC Red standings, 14 points for Pioneer, 10 for Saline. 2 games left after this, and Pioneer beats Saline twice. So if Pioneer wins this game, and that's a big if right now, if Pioneer wins this game, that would be 16 points, and Saline could only tie them. Saline with 10 points, Skyline with 8, Bedford sitting at 4, but they have played a heck of a game today, and Huron with none. A number of folks have made their way up from the Temperance Bedford area to cheer on their team. As that ball, as Gaga will have it on the far sideline over to Denson. Denson right at his own restraining line, bringing it ahead. Denson. That popped up high in the air. Great job by Ayers to get it, and intercepted by Bedford. Bedford coming down the near wing as Bedford brings it ahead. Barber with it. Barber goes underneath the goal line extended. Schaefer trying to battle him, and it will be a timeout by Bedford. 51 seconds left to go here. Bedford with the ball, down by 1, a 3-goal run for the Kicking Mules. Whew, have mercy. As it was It was just a pass that got blocked up in the air. Pioneer got it back and then intercepted. A beautiful interception by Bedford. We want to thank all the wonderful, amazing sponsors of Pioneer Men's Lacrosse, including Edwards and Schaefer Orthodontics, Franklin Templeton, Knight Southside Market, Gago Fertility, Dr. April Gago, Jen Gear Photography, First Martin Corporation, Mike Martin, a Pioneer alum, Venue, Restaurant and Bar, Pollock Investment Advisors, Rob Pollock, a Pioneer alum, Winsler's Gear, Ray Shaver Dentistry, Electric Lawn Company, Stadium Hardware, Specialty Eye Institute, Dr. Louis Gago, Linda Forrester, Real Estate One agent with E-Wings Pro, Ann Arbor Made, Reclaimed Woodworks, Monahan Seafood Market, Metallark Design and Build, PLG and Blue Jays Lacrosse Programs, Ron's Garage, Germain Auto, McNamara Orthodontics, State and Liberty Clothing, and Coach and 4 Barber Shop. 49 ticks of the clock left. The Bedford faithful trying to urge on a goal here. Pioneer faithful hoping their defense can come up with a huge stop. That ball over on the far sideline. Depew has it. Just about 10 yards above the goal line extended. Rosenberg watching him. Depew now lofts it all the way over to McIntyre. McIntyre right at the restraining line on the near wing. 42 seconds left to go. McIntyre. It's a screen coming over, fakes the pass. Shikachi staying with him, fired. Ground ball, and out the end line. Pioneer ball with 31 seconds left to go. Gago with it, and this will be a huge, important clear as Gago comes in the end line. There's the whistle. Gago racing over, takes a check back behind. Gago, that fired ahead. Denson trying to get it raked up. Here comes Bedford as racing in, floated over. That ball loose coming in. Bounce shot still on the ground. Racing over to get it. That's Barber with it. 8 seconds left to go. Barber fires it out between the hash marks, and they tie it. They tie it. They tie it. As trying to get the goal scorer. Yeah, that was Luke Osielski, number 3.
Bedford goal, number 3, Blake Lugosilski. 4 seconds left. Game is tied.
4 seconds left. Pioneer not being able to take advantage of some opportunities. Bedford really grabbing those loose balls, getting in the way of the passes. And it is now a tie game, 12-12 with 4 seconds left to go, as Bedford has 4 straight goals. As Gago in to take the face-off, Warwick has it, that knocked down, and that will be the end of the fourth quarter. Well,
at the end of regulation, the game is tied at 12 apiece.
This game was so good, why not have extra lacrosse? As we head into overtime, and let's play a few messages from the MHSAA.
Where can you find good information on all kinds of topics related to the well-being of our student athletes? Check out the health and safety page of the MHSAA website. Learn about multi-sport participation, heat and hydration, cardiovascular resources, as well as insurance benefits available for our students. It's all on the health and safety page of MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
The love of the game draws us to sports, as players, coaches, spectators, and officials. For officials, it's a way to stay in the game they once played, to feel the thrill of putting on the uniform, stepping out of the playing surface, hustling to make the call, and building the relationships which can only be built in sports. If you still have that love for the game, we always need new officials. Register now at MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Well, Pioneer was up 4 with 6:21 left to go, and Bedford scored 4 straight, showing their tenacity and resilience. We're tied going into overtime. As, again, every faceoff has been huge, but none more so than this. Gago In to take it versus Warwick. Pioneer going right to left in this overtime period.
Gago to take the face off of Pioneer.
Gago versus Warwick. 4 minutes up on the clock. There's a huge face-off trying to get it. Gago raked up by Rosenberg. Rosenberg coming down on the near wing. Rosenberg into the offensive zone. Rosenberg steps back into the midfield area. Rosenberg waits for Ayers coming on. Ayers has it on the far wing. Ayers over to McQueen. McQueen about 10 yards over the goal line extended. Sends it back to Cal. Cal in along the end line. Cal cuts towards the far side. Cal now racing back from the far side to the near side. Gets it over to Friedman. Friedman just above the goal line extended. Back into the midfield area to Rosenberg. Rosenberg over to Ayers. Ayers over to McQueen. McQueen on the far wing. McQueen gets it back to Cal. Cal heads over on the near side. Now Cal goes over the goal line extended. Cal heads up between the hash marks, and it gets trying to get it over to McQueen, and that just off the tip of his cross. Battle for it. Trying to get it. Still on the ground. Raking it up. Bedford has it. And then losing it was
Bedford timeout.
Bedford timeout, as I believe that was Geisler over to grab it, as it was a pass and it was just to McQueen's left, and McQueen already looked like he started to cut. Bedford with the ball. 3:02 left to go here in the first overtime. Both squads talking things over, giving as much instructions as they can. Both keepers have been amazing. Staley has been outstanding in the crease. As Bedford back out onto the field. Pioneer breaks the huddle. As an umbrella came down, I don't know where from, maybe from up above us. As coming up the near wing, as that ball on the ground, grabbing it, coming ahead with it, Geisler into the offensive zone, as that knocked down, ground ball, trying to rake it up. Gago flips it over to Denson. 2:46 left to go. Over to Rosenberg. Rosenberg over midfield. Rosenberg running down. Rosenberg over the restraining line. Rosenberg with the shot. That got deflected. Pulled away. Ground ball. Raking it up. Ayers with it. Timeout called. Pioneer with the timeout and possession. Well, I'm going to play a few messages from the MHSAA as I try and get my breath back.
Sportsmanship has never been more important between the lines in athletics and outside those lines in our communities. To listen, to respect, to understand, to practice common decency, to have competition without contentiousness. Sportsmanlike qualities are essential components of life itself. Let's all work together to not only be good sports, but good people. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Bedford back out onto the field. Pioneer just about to break the huddle. Pioneer breaks the huddle. 2:30 left in the first overtime. Pioneer has had, a 3 overtime game, I believe, earlier in this season. Pioneer fans hoping they can get it solved on this possession as Ayers flips it over. And launch back to McQueen. McQueen sends it in along the end line to Friedman. Friedman over to Cow. Cow, even with the goal on the near wing, Cow sends it back to Ayers. Ayers over to Rosenberg, that back over as that ball knocked down, loose, coming ahead with it. Here comes Bedford. Bedford over midfield, launched ahead, trying to make it in. Shot, and knocked down. Pioneer with it. Quickly ahead the other way, racing ahead with it is Kurowski, or Ayers. Ayers over to Cow. Cow gets it to Friedman. Friedman. Pioneer couldn't quite beat the defense back. And over to Ayers. Ayers flips it over to McQueen on the far wing. McQueen thought about it. Now back to Ayers. Ayers over to Cow. Cow on the near wing. Cow trying to get between the hash marks. Shot, and Staley again with a save. Net ahead, ground ball over midfield, racing up with it. It's loose, trying to rake it up. Coming away with it is Barber. Barber comes in. Barber fires it all the way over on the far side and just floated it over McIntyre out the far sideline. Both fan bases at this point apoplectic, waiting for something good to go right for both teams, and they have been battling. As Dutton brings it ahead, coming down over his own restraining line. Dutton between the hash marks, fires it over on a hop. Ayers trying to get to it. It's loose. Ayers trying to grab it. That lofted back towards midfield. Plucked up by Lugalsielski. Lugalsielski coming down the hash marks on the far side. Lugalsielski skills it ahead. Barber finishes it off, and that is it. Barber with the goal. Lugalsielski with the assist. And Bedford has beaten Pioneer as 85 Barber on the score.
Bedford goal number 85, Cameron Barber.
The assist was to number 3, Blake Lugalsielski.
Assisted by number 3, Blake Lugalsielski.
What a game.
That's the end of the game, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming out.
Pioneer will be back in action as they will try to get those points back and try and get to and stay at the top of the SEC Red. They'll be playing Chelsea on Thursday now. That's an away game at 7 p.m. Then they will be playing St. Mary's Catholic Central on the 13th. And then the last SEC Red game is at Tecumseh, time to be announced. That is on the 15th. Well, lots of credit to Bedford for playing hard and continuing to battle. Pioneer will look to get things back against Chelsea. For my camera person, Christina Wiseman, my name is Mark Wiseman. Thank you, folks. Have a wonderful night. We'll be back tomorrow with Pioneer Women's Soccer at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you. Good night.